My name's Kelsey. I'm 5'3", a mediocre yogi, and I've only met one person paler than me. All of that rhymed, and it's only 3/4 intentional. I live with depression and PTSD, so I often hide behind weighted blankets and freeform poetry. I like driving without a destination and meeting new dogs, though I prefer cats in my home. I think this is because my childhood was nomadic with a bark that wouldn't quit. I will share more on this mic than my family would like, but helping others feel understood is what brought me to the stage. I love a good Greek salad, but I don't do olives. I barely do the feta. I like my coffee black and my bookshelves full. I'm oddly good at eating sloppy joes without being sloppy, probably from training myself to keep my messes hidden. I don't know a lot, but I know every line to Gilmore Girls, and that I have survived 100% of my worst days. I know that poetry is my ultimate metaphor as I choose which lines to break, which rhymes to make while I write my life into its own rhythm. Because I was a young girl in Chucks, fighting sandpaper days and turning scrapes into poetry. And I know that all of this has made me who I am here tonight. A young woman building marble years, a poetry career, and still wearing Chucks. That's how I like to say hi and introduce myself without actually introducing myself. That was my honest poem after Rudy Francisco. I gotta give credit where credit's due. I did not come up with that format. I have been doing, I'm gonna hit this so much. Okay, I have been doing this thing recently where I'm doing a bit of a balancing act. And I'm calling this the heavy and the hopeful. I have gone through a lot of stuff in my life, and poetry was my coping tool, and so I write the heavy stuff. But I'm also starting to write the good stuff. So we've got a little of both tonight. Cool? Woo! And yes, I totally skipped the whole part where it's like confirming I am Kelsey Bigelow. I am a poet from Des Moines, and this is my second time at Poetic Underground. I am so happy to be back. Thank you. You guys, I'll take this off my recording, but you guys are my favorite. All right. So these first two pieces I'm going to share with you are off of my spoken word album, Depression Holders and Secret Keepers. I have all of it over there. I take Cash Card, Venmo, Cash App, check if you want, whatever. Come over and we'll hook you up later. But this first piece is a bit of a word vomit poem, so bear with me. Digression. Writing is the last thing I want to do. I don't really know why this is, because writing is the only thing I need to do. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that shedding a layer of my heart and molding it into words on a page for all to read means molding it into words on a page for all to read. Maybe it's because I have been actively shaping my self-esteem into a genuine mirror of a mastered smile, and everyone knows that a happy poem is almost always an oxymoron. Maybe it's because speaking the dissonance of my soul breaks the innocence I've learned to portray and ruins the ignorant ears of those who think they know me. Like the ones who ask why a coffee snob like me hasn't had any coffee yet today and it's already 11 a.m. I say nothing and turn to my notebook and explain to the page that I haven't had coffee because I haven't had a full meal in a while, because I haven't had enough money for such a luxury, and so I drink water to ignore the rumples and to say thank you to the years that I struggled with anorexia, because they taught me how to fake my health. They taught me how to get through a day without fainting in order to get the body I thought I was supposed to want. A body that men would want to touch, not take, but they didn't take, they stole. They stole a body I grew to loathe, but then again I'm told to be grateful for the body that I'm in, because the body that I'm in has so much built-in privilege it has become translucent. But the thing about being translucent is no one sees me, which means loneliness goes to bed with me and shapeshifts into the depression that is my body. I digress. This is why I avoid writing. Because only after reading my own words do I begin to sort trauma from struggle. And only after reading my own words do I realize I've got too much to write about. This next piece is also on my album. This album really deals a lot with mental health. It kind of scratches the surface of the heavy shit. So this next piece is kind of my reigning favorite, and I say that as if it hasn't been the favorite since I released the album. But it's my favorite because it lives equally as a page poem and a stage poem. It's a heavily formatted page poem. I could never read it as it's formatted, but I just love the way it sounds out loud, so it's my favorite. That's what I'm going to say about it. This is Learned Instinct. I have contorted myself enough to know how my neck and kneecap should curl to take up as little space as a disappearing act allows. It's somewhere between question mark and whiskey pour spout. And by space, I mean existence. See, taking up space used to equate with being in the way. I know how to avoid mess and remove attention. And by mess, I mean existence. See, it's no crumbs on plate to hide residue from judging eyes because those eyes only saw a flaw. I have learned to quiet, like mine, with helium in my heels and mute in my voice box to remain unheard because the herd always brought chaos, and by herd, I mean the existing. So I let closed doors and headphones become my bunker from the bellows and drywall holes, and by bellows, I mean their existence. While blankets of unwashed shaking became depression holders and secret keepers that hid my car-keyed forearms and question mark body, and by unwashed shaking, I mean the pitifulness I thought my existence was worth until I almost let it all go. Until I almost let it all go. Thank you. All right, I have one more heavy shit for you. Also, the rest of this set is new shit. So, it is mostly memorized. Hence, I got my music stand, and this is my music stand. This next piece, I often say my work is a walking trigger warning, but so I don't usually give it. But this one specifically is a PTSD poem, and it does deal with abuse and addiction. So if anything triggers anything in you, please take a step out. I know it's really hot out there. The bathrooms are pretty cool, so maybe go in there. Just take care of yourself if anything triggers you, and we'll welcome you back when you're ready. This is Etch-a-Sketching Muscle Memory. The setting. I'm 28, at my favorite coffee house, with my poetry family, reading a Humans of New York Facebook post. I'm triggered. I can still feel the edge of tables cracking against skin, hands branding me property. I thought brothers were supposed to protect sisters. But my bones still vibrate in waves of crickets and bathtubs, trying to etch-a-sketch muscle memory, still holding on to our mother's stale basement couch, never fit for a child's bed. But you seemed to enjoy her corrupt walls and disowned me for not converting to her addictions. I try to dissolve back to the coffee house, not her house, the coffee house, not her house, but chairs scrape the shop floor, my neck flinches to the side as my eyes burn with the ends of your cigarettes, as your vodka removes my eyeliner. She spent every other court-mandated weekend proving herself party parent, and you fed into her bottles. Wrapped your callous fingers around my throat, deemed me unworthy of being sibling, and stopped saying goodbye each time I left. I try to dissolve back to the coffee house, not her house, the coffee house, not her house, but wind slams the shop doors, my shoulders tighten upright while the blood in my arms ignite with the end of your lighter as a hand touches mine and my eyes tighten around a freeze response. I try to dissolve back to the coffee house, not her house, the coffee house, not her house. I hear blender, not bellow, laughter, not scream. The hand softens and I dissolve to chosen family, bringing me back to our coffee house. Let's take a collective breath because I need one. Do you want to get to the hopeful shit now?
Yeah.
All right.
Hopeful shit.
Hopeful shit? Yeah, that's not a thing you hear. It's not a thing you hear often at poetry events, but here we are. Also, I want you to know I'm like almost 100% water at this point, and I think I've still sweated out, and I don't know how this is working. Okay, so like I said, as you can tell, I went through a lot of heavy shit in my life, and way more that I have not talked about yet. But something I started doing as I've gotten to a healthier, safer place in my life is starting to write the good stuff and trying to process how I got there and how I made my life better. Thank you. And this next piece is kind of near and dear to my heart. I had this, let's say, friend who got me through all of it, quite literally, and I finally was able to write a poem for my minivan. This is Ode to Sylvester. Let your minivan hug you through the heavy. He will store your history and carry you to a new town until you find a park far enough away. He will let you breathe and scream and sing and hit his steering wheel. He will do this over and over while you find home in his doors and take your shoes off to rest your feet on his floors. Roll his windows down. He will show you the power of a wind revival, how spring breathes for you and beckons you to its grass. Open his door and run barefoot through your new chance. He will be there waiting for you when it's time for your next route, for the change you both know you're ready for. Let his speakers sing you down the highway to the next state over. He will have many breakdowns, but he will hold you through yours. He has this way of getting you everywhere you didn't expect, of cleaning your windshield in time to see your new view. And someday, after he's lived his last life, you will find yourself surrounded by city glow and falling snow. He got you to the place where you now carry your notebook to coffee shops and martini bars, the place where you laid him to rest in a ramp while you explored the life he wanted for you. You will marvel at the way a van taught you that a city and a decision can change courses, that views and stories can heal heaviness. You will realize he was the vehicle for your past self to fight for the better version you're walking in now.
Wow.
All right, I got two more pieces for you. This next one, I'm sorry. This next one is a little shorter. It is also my least memorized. We got it right here. So I had this period of time where I was writing odes to the inanimate things that got me through my life. The van being the first one. And this next one is kind of twofold. It's for my studio apartment in Des Moines that I moved to, and my mirror. And so this is Mirror View Magic. I spent decades living what I believed they expected, of wishing my reflection suddenly felt familiar, but it was never my mirror to begin with. I spent years biking to the empty elementary school field, growing a pseudo-love of expression in isolation, and that is what forced me into my packed-up van to put the place I knew in my rear view. I moved myself to a place where the mirror was harsher and screaming for Windex. But it was mine. My lonely view of the city, my mattress on the studio floor, my books outnumbering reflections. I moved myself to clothes-covered floor and shoe-piled doorway, to book-stacked windowsill and dish-full counter, to a studio that taught me to be real, like poetry. It taught me that I will never be a morning person, but I always had coffee. The studio hugged away my scar arms and taught me to take up space. It taught me to survive loneliness by counting lights from the rooftop and blurring them into one large stepping stone. It taught me to fill my pages with raw ink, finding my way through metaphors and Merlot. And my mirror? My mirror still needs a frame and Windex, but at least it's my mirror.
Wow.
All right, one last poem here for you. Again, my name is Kelsey Bigelow. I am a poet from Des Moines. This is my living, so if you want to help support that and let me go home with gas, I have Sprig of Lilac with me. That book is dedicated to the grieving process. It's kind of the culmination of the first couple years after I lost my mom, and more to come. But grieving doesn't stop, but that's the first couple years in that book. And then I have my spoken word album, which you heard those first couple pieces from over there. Again, I take cash card, Venmo, check if you really want, cash up, all the things. Come talk to me. I like to say, if you want to be sad, I can hook you up. We'll close this out with one last hopeful poem. It's also a bit shorter. This is one that came from a moment of realization that there was nothing fundamentally wrong in my life anymore, and what do you do with that information? You write this poem. Thank you again for having me. This is when the map is no longer highlighted in survival.
Wow.
What do I do after surviving a crosswalk I spent 29 years building as I crossed? After the snow has settled, the traffic has calmed, and the sun has waved me across the street, what do I do with these painted hands? They never learned how to hold, just to fold my feelings into my pocket as I helped others across. These concrete feet haven't learned how to beat their crust off, just to fight off the weight of each year. What do I do when the construction is complete? How do I step on an unfamiliar sidewalk instead of sticking around to sit in my handiwork for a while? To admire the elbow grease I pushed for, to allow myself a release into the life I fought for. How do I walk on? How do I know which road to follow when the map is no longer highlighted in survival? I'm learning. They call this a revival. And it's my turn to create the paths I discover. I'm no longer taking cover or being pulled into the cracks, and I'm learning the hard hat I crafted from my own back never actually fit me.
Wow.
Just enough to look protected.
Wow.
I'm learning to remove it and let my head breathe sky again, let my hair feel breeze again. I'm learning to let my feelings unfold.
Wow.
Especially the good ones. I'm told their names are relieved, peaceful, good, fulfilled, alive. I'm learning my crosswalk meant I built a curbside safe enough to take my first step as I begin building a sidewalk all my own. One that can hold the weight of the heavy and the hopeful.
Wow.
Okay, folks, once more. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna take a 10-minute intermission. Everyone